Mike has recently changed roles with us, moving from a volunteer to a staff member. Mike will share his personal experience from military hero to his time in jail, and now his new mission to help people discover SMART. Mike?
Thanks, Gerstein. My name is Michael Hooper. I'm very proud to be the new State Outreach Director for Ohio and extremely proud to be speaking to the Ohio Supreme Court Specialized Docket Section today. I want to share a little bit about my history and what brought me into Smart Recovery. I served in the United States military at the 2nd and 113th 42nd Infantry Division from 2001 and 2006. I was deployed to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba under Operation Enduring Freedom, and I was very, very happy to be serving my country. But I was harboring a dark secret that I did not let my comrades or my family know, that I was suffering from an alcohol addiction that I had been battling for many, many years. This addiction would later on cost me extreme problems even after I was out of the military, especially when I got home, trying to relate to my family, starting new careers, friendships, and relationships. My alcohol abuse spiraled out of control into my 30s, and I eventually was incarcerated for a DUI. I spent time at Carl Robinson Penitentiary in Connecticut, and it was one of the darkest times of my life. I did not feel I had any hope, and those around me suffered the same type of hopelessness. There were many like me inside that had been exposed to the penal system only because of their addiction and the problems that were being caused and the legal issues that they caused themselves because of their suffering from their addiction and destructive behavior. Because of this, we didn't know where to turn. And there weren't very many options to us, especially while we were incarcerated. There were 12-step programs available, and we were told this was the only way we could go to find help. But unfortunately, when you're inside, hope is something that is very, very short and very, very hard to come by. And when it's led by other prisoners who may not be feeling as motivated as you to change, and you're told this is the only way you can go, you start to believe that maybe there isn't a way out for you. And especially when all you're thinking about doing while you're inside is trying to blend in and not cause any issues or any problems to make your life worse while you're there, it's hard to concentrate on making your life better. When I got out, I did not feel inspired to change. Prison brought me to a very dark place in my life. And when I left, I carried that darkness with me. It took a couple more years for me to find out that I really, really needed help, and I did not know where to find it. Because what I was exposed to in prison and afterwards did not give me the guidance I needed to change. It finally took me reaching out to the VA, to the Veterans Crisis Line, and checking myself in to a detox and rehabilitation center at the West Haven VA in Connecticut, that I did finally find Smart Recovery. After finding Smart Recovery at the VA, I found that I did have a path that I could take. I found that I had answers to the direct questions that I was asking. Smart Recovery taught me the tools that I needed to self-manage my addictive and destructive behaviors. This was the answer I and many other veterans that had enrolled in the program had been looking for all along. Why it worked for me was that I needed something tangible, something that I knew I could restore my ability to control and manage my life again. As a soldier, we're taught to adapt and overcome our problems and our obstacles in our lives. But when dealing with an addictive disorder, it's not always easy to find those answers within yourself. And being asked to rely on others and to admit to strangers that you have a problem can be very difficult for somebody like myself. So a program like Smart Recovery, which offers you the tools and techniques from cognitive behavioral therapy and rational emotive behavioral therapy, are extremely beneficial to people such as myself who were trained to be able to adapt and overcome their own problems and addictions. This is why SMART worked for me. This is why it's effective for those who are really serious about changing their lives. I am very proud to be speaking to you today because I know the men and women that are listening to this video now have the power and the opportunity to change the ability for these people to find recovery that they need. Addiction shouldn't be treated as a crime. It's a disorder that ruins people's lives. It is extremely difficult to overcome on your own. And when we treat recovery processes like a punishment rather than a source of hope and help, it can be degrading and also unmotivating for those looking for help. Ladies and gentlemen, today I implore you to please open your minds and your hearts to this presentation. Giving those who are under the extreme stress of dealing with the legal system because of crimes they have committed due to their addiction is a very difficult time for them. Offering options to change and to rehabilitate their behavior will be the very essence of providing a means to break this cycle in their lives. I truly hope you enjoy this presentation and take what we said to heart. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mike. Now volunteer Kevin Minnick will share with us how SMART's programs have benefited his clients from his experience working in Indiana's courts and jails as a court treatment specialist, behavioral health probation officer, and both a licensed mental health and licensed addiction counselor.
Thank you, Christy, for that introduction. I also want to say thank you to the Ohio Supreme Court for allowing us to have this opportunity to come and talk about a program that is near and dear to my heart. As most of you have seen, that I am an active participant in the criminal justice system, both as a court person and as well as a treatment provider. And the thing that I like about Smart Recovery is it's a very attractive process and product because it teaches life skills. And if we can teach life skills to the folks that we're supervising and the folks that are in our jail early enough, then we can start saving money by not having them come back in to the system. They can get out and start to become productive members of society. You know, cost to jurisdictions can go down by less policing if we're able to get to people early enough and return them back to their normal life skills. And I think that that's part of what all of us as officers and criminal justice professionals try to do as much as we can. The one thing that I've learned about SMART in the 25 or so years that I've actually been in contact with the program is that it is a Swiss Army knife, if you will, of life skills, because there aren't too many problems that you would see come into your office or come into a incarceration facility that SMART cannot help somebody with. Particularly in DUI courts, you see people that come in that really aren't problem drinkers. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so they're maybe coming to an educational program and expecting to be told that, you know, they're going to turn into alcoholics if they keep drinking. And instead, what we find that with a lot of our Smart Recovery tools is that they get something out of that they can take home with them anyway. And because our tools are adaptable to many of the life problems that people end up in the court system with, there is an applicable solution to the things that are causing them the most problems. And I think that when we look at that, that's what we want to try to get to everybody that we have to supervise. Also, because SMART is big on the power of choice, what we found is that research indicates that the more opportunity that there is for somebody to kind of choose the pathway of their recovery, the better the outcome. NIDA has done a lot of studies on that, so has SAMHSA. And, we encourage people to make some choices for their recovery that will help them. We use a lot of Smart Recovery in a state-sponsored program that we have here called Jail Intervention Program. And what it is, it's an 8-week program where people in jail can get an IOP-type treatment. And what we've noticed is that by getting to people sooner and by giving them the opportunity to kind of pick their pathway on that, we see incredible results on recidivism when they come out of jail. Our program for the last 3 years has shown a recidivism rate of not getting arrested for 12 months of somewhere between 9 and 12%, 13% maybe at the highest. But still, that's pretty low stuff. And just by getting an intervention in a jail soon enough, or even at a probation level, community supervision level, we can intervene on people like that. I have a gentleman that I'm familiar with that I've been supervising for, a couple of years, and he just struggled with 12-step programs. He has a bad concept of God and the whole spiritual concept. When he started with SMART, though, he found a home for himself, and he started to really apply the tools, come to more meetings, did a lot of online meetings, and now has become a facilitator and is leading SMART meetings on his own. And so this has been a boon for him, and it's been helpful because we know that he's moving back toward a more normal life skill of being able to be a productive member of society. And so I kind of see that one of our products to the Successful Life Skills program has been a big motivator in our jail intervention program for people to remain committed to the recovery. And in fact, they look forward to getting out and going to SMART meetings once they're done with their jail. Now, one of the things that has always been a problem, at least for criminal justice professionals and treatment professionals, is that neither really understands the other very well. And treatment and criminal justice have not always done well. But we try to marry that, of course, in a lot of our drug courts and a lot more in the intervention programs that we're doing. And so I'm referring back to this slide of the difference between addictive and criminal thinking. And what you can see on here there are 9 different thought styles, but criminal persons and addictive persons both share 6 of those styles. As you can see, the good person stance, the fear of exposure, the lack of time perspective, in other words, not being able to learn from their mistakes, selective effort, the ownership stance, and the terminal uniqueness. They break off differently because the addict then will take a self-pity stance, poor me, poor me, poor me. They also use their deceit to kind of control situations. Their deceit also shows up in the form of denial. And then they are normally trying to seek some kind of pleasure. They feel like they're in some kind of pain. When we look at criminal thinkers, though, however, you see that they're more of a victim stance. It's everybody else's fault. They use power as a method of control, and they are seeking excitement. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because our SMART tools can bridge the gap between those two thought processes successfully. Because as most of you know that supervise people, you have 2 kinds of folks that may need some help with their addictive disorders. You have criminals with a substance use history, and then you have people with a substance use history that have been arrested several times, so they have a criminal history to go along with it. And a lot of times that's where we kind of digress on kind of how we're doing this. But I feel like SMART is one of those kind of tools, and especially the Successful Life Skills program is one of those tools that can bridge that gap, that will allow people to address their addictive disorders as well as their criminal behaviors and thinking as a method to be able to get back out of what goes on. Now, we also do have a couple other products that I want to at least highlight, and the one that I want to talk about right now, or at least the one I want to point you toward, is the program called Inside Out. It's the longest serving criminal justice program that we have. And in fact, we've got a short video that you might want to take a look at that will explain a little bit more about that program.
As part of its widely used avenues of support for individuals in recovery and their loved ones, Smart Recovery USA developed the highly successful Inside Out program as a way to help individuals who have been incarcerated and whose maladaptive behaviors include 1 or more substance use disorders. Based on the science and the evidence-based foundations of the Smart Recovery program, Inside Out was developed with a $1 million grant from the U.S. National Institute on Drug Abuse, or NIDA. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution mandates courts to offer alternatives to religion-based recovery programs when sentencing offenders with addictive behaviors. Inside Out is a secular, science-based mutual support option. Studies prove it is effective. Research has shown that a significant number of men and women who enter jail or prison with a substance use disorder return to a life that includes illegal behaviors, as well as addiction upon release. NIDA asked Smart Recovery to develop the Inside Out program for the purpose of helping inmates address their addiction problems and other maladaptive behaviors while still in custody. In weekly mutual support group meetings, participants learn a wide range of successful and self-empowering behaviors and life skills that help them both while behind the wall and on the outside. Let's hear more about the program from Barry Grant, who participated in Smart Recovery's Inside Out program while incarcerated. After finding success within this program, Barry was inspired to help others on the outside, working as a counselor, Smart Recovery Global Ambassador, and motivational speaker.
Smart Recovery for me led me to a place that gave me a sense of individualism and self-empowerment, while at the same time realizing that the only thing that I can control is me. It allowed me to think about the circumstances that I was in, as opposed to allowing the circumstances that were around me to create the outcome in my life. And when individuals come upon Smart Recovery and they're in the prison setting, it allows them to learn something new. It allows them to realize how they got there. And most of all, it gives them an alternative. It not only allows you to take a look at the substance use, it allows you to take a look at your anger, it allows you to take a look at your anxiety. It gives you a sense of temporal understanding insofar as what's going on is temporary. I mean, I have spoken with guys who had life, and they say that although I may not be going anywhere, all I have is the moment. And being in and of the moment and managing what feelings you have, that's where the truth is, because inside your deepest feelings rests your highest truth.
Smart Recovery's Inside Out program has shown tremendous success around the world. For example, a study involving 6,000 prison inmates in Australia demonstrated a dramatic decrease in recidivism for those exposed to the Inside Out program. Inside Out meetings and associated printed materials have become a recognized means of support that can be used in local, state, and federal correctional facilities. The program helps restore an inmate's sense of individuality and overcome the counterproductive thoughts and self-defeating behaviors common in a correctional environment. Let's hear more about the program and its benefits from Kevin Minnick, a court treatment specialist with the state of Indiana.
As a criminal justice officer, as well as a 30-year treatment provider, what I found is that anytime that you have a program for incarcerated individuals that starts when they get in and is able to build from session 1 all the way to session 24 or session 30, whatever you have, a la the Inside Out program, is that recidivism seems to be much lower for those individuals, and particularly if the sessions are applicable to their situations. Programs that I have run before that are like that usually have a recidivism somewhere between 9 and 13%, which is stupidly low for a lot of stuff like that. But that shows that early intervention in an incarcerated setting will produce really strong results.
Smart Recovery continues to evolve Inside Out to expressly address incarceration periods of various durations, including the recent addition of its successful Life Skills program as a set of complementary tools to inspire and motivate. The mantra of Inside Out is, "There is no jailer as efficient as he or she who is incarcerated by their own thinking." For more general information about the Inside Out program, please go to www.smartrecovery.org/courts. Simply fill out this contact form and we will get back to you soon.
So that was the Inside Out program, which is the highest level of intensity for more people that would be incarcerated in prisons because they have a much longer sentence. However, the beauty of these programs, or rather these products that we've got, is that they can be adapted to many different situations. And in fact, this Inside Out program would be a great tool to be used in a community corrections setting, particularly work release, where you have people that are coming in and going out, and you can run a group with that as your backdrop and still be able to do some treatment. So there's a lot of applicability to the products that SMART has for the criminal justice system.
Thank you, Kevin. Now, board member and volunteer Ron Lott will share how he found SMART and brought it to prisons throughout Texas and beyond with the self-paced publication he co-authored, Successful Life Skills.
Thanks, Christy, and thanks to all of you for tuning in today. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to speak to the Ohio Supreme Court Specialized Docket Section. My name is Ron Lott, and I've been facilitating a Smart Recovery class along with my partner Charles True and my sister Sandy in the Texas prison system for over 3 years. Prison officials tell us that we are by far the most popular volunteer program they've ever seen. As a matter of fact, we had so many people come into our class, they had to move us to the auditorium to accommodate the crowds. So why do they like SMART so much? Let me start with what we don't do. We don't judge, shame, blame, call them names, use labels, or talk down to them in any way. Our goal is to empower them to make positive changes in their lives. We have them read a page or two out of our book that describes a concept or a tool. Then they read questions and give their answers to those questions. There are no wrong answers. They just have to participate and fill out the book to graduate. We have a party at the end of 12 weeks and they get a certificate of completion to document their work. I'd like to read to you a couple of quotes we have, some people that attended our class. I could see that other people lived differently from me, but I didn't know how to do it. Your class gave me the skills I need to live a productive life. This program is 10 times better than anything else I've seen. I like it because it makes sense. You guys give us valuable information without telling us what to believe or what to do. Thanks for letting me speak to you today.